Welcome back, everyone. We have a nice special system here, the Atari Lynx II, all with a whole bunch of dust on it. What we're going to be doing is getting this into good working order. We have a power kit, and then we're also going to do a little bit of recapping while we're in there. I do have mods to do on this at a later point, but I just want to make sure that everything works with this first. I definitely recommend, if you get a Lynx, do the power repair and the recap on it before you even start using it. And I'll show you what happens when put all these 6 batteries in here. One of the mods that we have for later on with this will be clean power, so it will make it so we can play this with USB-C. Okay, we have the batteries in there. And the Atari Lynx does actually require a game in there to make the full circuit. So we'll put the game in there and press on. And there's nothing. Yeah, these things had like some of the worst power boards ever in them. We'll get all these removed from here and then start taking it apart. Now the first part to taking these apart, have it face down, and then you have to remove these rubber parts here. Oh, all my tools are buried by Game Gear boards at the moment. There we go, just freed some up. These don't always make themselves easy to come up. Okay, got one part of that up, and then we'll just pry this the rest of the way off of here, and then we can pull that. Put that to the side, and then do the same to the side. Yeah, once you get part of it kind of pried up a little bit, then the rest of it is pretty easy to get up. That's what she said. There we go. Trying not to stab myself while I do this too. And then we have that side up. Then you do want to get a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm going to be using size 2 on here. But before taking this apart, I'm going to knock everything off my desk here and then put on the anti-static wrist strap because it's winter, very dry, and everything is causing static right now. And then we'll pop out these 4 screws up here. Screw number 1, screw number 2, number 3, and number 4. Then we have one more screw right down here in the battery compartment. Sometimes if you have a little bit of a thicker screwdriver, you'll want to try to find one that's thinner to work in there. Then we can lift the back part off of the front. And because we do clean everything, we will be cleaning all this stuff in a bit. So then we'll grab the battery compartment and just kind of lift up on that. Get the board unhooked from that area. There we go. And then we'll put that over here. Then from this point, if you just kind of move the cartridge slot just a little bit, have that forward some, you can see there are these 3 spots that are hooked right here. And then one you can't see hooked as well that's right back here behind the stand. So we'll go through and disconnect all 4 of those. We have those 2 done, now these 2, and then this one. It's being stubborn on the side there. Just want to be careful with it because these ribbons are not always the best. There we go. That ribbon cable is really stuck in there. Then we'll put the front shell of this to the side and focus on this beast. Oh, there's some of the issue. Looks like we had some battery explosion in there at some point. Actually spin this around since it does kind of rest at an angle there. And this is the main section here that we want to focus on. So the Lynx Power Kit, you can get them from Console 5, Retro 6, just some of the different places like that. I'll actually leave a link in the description. But each of these do have parts in, and then it numbers which ones on which system that they replace. So it's kind of nice just having a little guide like that. So what we'll do to start this is get some flux, and then D13 and R74. Here's D13 right here. Get each of these marked with the flux. And then R74 is this little resistor hiding right up here. And then we'll mark D9, 10, and 11. That's these 3 cylinders over here. Those are for the second bag. D12 for the third bag. It's this little one is D12 here. And then Q12 is this one here that's probably from the camera hidden behind the capacitors there. And then U6 is this chip. And then the final two things are Q7 and Q8, which are these ones in here. And then just to make some of this a little bit easier, I think what we're going to do is, since I do kind of want to recap this also, is we'll get all these 6 capacitors in the power area taken out before we remove all these other components. So as far as that, we have the 2 big capacitors down here, then a small one right over here, and then here are 2 more capacitors. Then the last one in this part is right here. And now for the fun of removing all of these components.
Laid you down on the scarred oak bench, cast a shell, smell of dust and wrench, tiny screws in a coffee cup, static strap, yeah, I'm suited up, oh yeah. I'm pulling power from my lens tonight, ripping out the rust and the wasted light. Old gray ghost in a copper chain, gonna make that handheld roar again. Lynx on the bench under my hand, little dead screen gonna take a stand. Bench spring clip, never had a chance. Crackjack plug from 1,000 hands. Careful trace where the scorch marks spread. Follow every river where the voltage bled. I'm pulling power from my lens tonight, ripping out the rust and the wasted light. Old gray ghost in a copper chain, gonna make that handheld roar again. Legs on the bench under my hand, little dead screen gonna take a stand. Lens springboard, feel that flex, heat gun humming, breaking hex. One last cap hanging by a thread, live or die, yeah, I tilt my head. Come on, come on. I'm pulling power from my legs tonight, ripping out the rust and the wasted light. Old gray ghost in a copper chain, gonna make that handheld roar again. Links on the bench under my hand, tiny wild heart in a plastic frame, firing back up to say my
I am so glad for eye protection. I'll definitely have a spot marked in the video, but when I was pulling off this component, this part just kind of shattered and shot up and hit right where the eye protection was. So if I didn't have that, then it would have gone right into my eye. That would not have been a fun experience. If you aren't familiar with this tool that made a lot of those really easy to remove, these are just hot tweezers. You can get them on Amazon or places like that. These are Sequire brand or Secure brand. I don't know how to pronounce that. But now's the fun time to get this whole board all cleaned up.
Sunday on the workbench, coffee ring on the mat, tiny screws in a bottle cap, old game glow in my lap. You were left in a closet, dust in every seam. I just wanna see you breathing pixels in a stream. So I dip that cotton in the clear and cold, tracing every line like a Static snap in the silence. Fantastic creep. Genocide. Tiny world on a fragile spine. Waiting on a tribe. I chase rust from the shoulder. Lift the stain from the trace. Every sweep of the tiny white cloud feels like clearing out a place. So I dip that cotton in the clear and cold, tracing every line like a secret code. All these little scars that time exposed, gonna bring you back, bring you back. Careful hands over copper roads, watching all the years just start to flow from a tired heart to a steady glow. Gonna bring you back online. If you flicker, if you fade, I'll be right here in the shade, tending every fragile part like I'm mending my own heart. Yeah, dip that cotton in the clear and cold, tracing every line like a secret code. All these little scars that time exposed, gonna bring you back, bring you back. Careful hands over copper road, watching all the years just start to flow from a tired heart to a steady glow. Gonna bring you back online.
Well, if you're watching the cleaning process there, then you definitely saw something fun happen. I was sanding off the little battery terminal thing, getting the rust off of it, and this part just popped right off. So I think I may need to order a new battery terminal for this one, just to be safe. But in the meantime, the show must go on. So this part of the board is cleaned up pretty well. I think what I'll do is just go through the board. Okay, they do go through the board, so I will remove that right now. Just put a little bit of flux on here, get our exhaust fan going, and then suck up some solder. Just get it all removed so this part just falls right out. There we go. We have nice clean holes there. Then I'll just take this, put it in here because it is trash at this point. And of course get this cleaned up a little bit. There, that's looking pretty nice now. Looking at this, I think the best course of action, so I can actually play this. I was planning on waiting until after I verified everything was working on this, but we're going to get the Atari Lynx Clean Power from Retro 6 installed on here, which we have part of the process already done with certain components being removed, but we will have to put a few things back on there. So when we take our little kits, U6 is one of the parts that does not go back on there. Q12 is one that does not go back on. D10 will have to go back on, but not 9 or 11. D13 will not go back on, but R74 will need to. D12 does not go back on. Q7 and 8 do not go back on. So this makes this part pretty easy. We just need to put 2 parts back on. We have R74, which in the first part I accidentally said that was R74, but no, it's this one right here. And then D10, this bottom one here. We will start with R74. Heat that up a little bit there, make sure it's good. I'm going to add just a little bit of solder in there. Okay, got a little bit extra there. And then right here is R74. Do not want to sneeze or it's going to be lost somewhere. Okay, I have a good grip on it with this. It's set down there. Let solder schloop it on in. Okay, that's on there on that side. And I'll add just a bit on this side. And that's perfect. Then we'll do the same for diode 10. Just kind of heat these up really fast. And I'll add a little more to this side. So this is that junky little microscope that I have, but I was able to get it focused on there enough. These diodes, when you put them in, it's for if you're doing the full power restore, it's D9, 10, and 11. They are directional. But on there it has like K34 and it has the little bands on this side. So for D10, the bands on that side need to point towards the volume wheel. And then for D9 and D11, the bands point away from the volume wheel. So then with D10 here, put this down, I'll get this side to hold that in place. And then just verifying the bands are on this side that's towards the volume wheel. Then I'll get this side secured. I need to add a little more to this side. There we go. We have that all hooked up in place now. And then we have Q12. This big chunk where a piece from this part flew up and hit me in the face. What we need to do is bridge this side of it with the center. So the left side to the center. I'm saying it's left side because the Atari symbol is here, so from this direction up, that would be the left side. But to you, it looks like the right side. So we'll get a little more added in there and some more added in the center. That's looking nice now. Take some trusty wire here, a little clip, and get the end stripped off. That end's good. Twist it up just a bit, and then get the other end trimmed off of here. Twist that end up. Going to bend it over a bit. And I have it as a U shape on here. Going to get one end into the solder right here, and then the other end into it right here. Just add a little extra solder here, and then a little extra here. And that's looking good now. We flip this over. Now the next part is an interesting one. With Retro 6, what they say is to cut the trace at the start of the battery positive. Now that would be this one, and that would be right here at this spot. So we need to break this trace right here. Still have the sanding tool, so may as well use that. Gently sand away at that. Before I do that, grab the trusty multimeter here. Just putting it in trace mode. And I'm going to verify that connects to there. Okay. So then after I break that, it should not connect to there anymore. That was this connects to up here. Just sanding and chipping away at this. There's the copper for it. Now to get rid of that copper. It's quite a bit of sanding here. Get that cleaned up a bit to see how it's looking. That almost looks cut all the way. It's like just right here on this side needs to be finished up. How is that going to be now? Do a quick test on that. So does that go? That still goes up there. Okay, I think we got through it that time. Feels so weird actually breaking a trace this time on purpose. Okay, that does not go through to there anymore. So we got that part done. Then we'll flip this back over and open up our clean power package. That's nice. So it comes with our USB-C connector, has a little board itself, piece of double-sided tape, and a bunch of little wires. And the wires all look pre-tinned. Makes my job a little easier. Now it says to attach clean power to the metal right here. So I'll put the double-sided tape on the back of that, and then see if I can get the other side of the double-sided tape off. Then we just put it right here on this corner. So then what we'll do is start prepping all these pads. Get DC and the 5 volt. We actually use all 6 of these pads right here. And then we will start with D9. We'll just add a little bit extra on those. The medium length cables, we'll put one right here and one right here. And the one for DC on the top of this chip, or the bottom from your view, goes down to D9 over on this side. So that goes right to here. And then the 5 VD one goes to the other side of D9. Just get that right on there. Okay, we have those 2 in place. And then COM and ground get some of the tiny ones. I should have touched these up beforehand, but we're going to have Q7 the pad that is in the middle over here, which is technically the right pad, that is where COM is going to go. So we'll kind of bend it a bit and then put it in its new home. And then C38 right here, this little ceramic capacitor, that's where ground is going to go. So just going to put a little extra solder right here and get that bent down there and put in place. There we go. And then we have our long cables. So we have battery positive and battery negative. And you guessed it, they go to the positive and negative of the battery. Just add some solder on each of these. And then the positive goes to the positive side. Let me add a little more on here. Since those have been removed, it's a little tougher getting these in place. Okay, positive's in there. My hand may have been blocking it. And then negative goes right. Okay, that looks good. Well, that's the basic clean power setup, but we want USB-C also in there. So what we need to do is remove the DC jack. Oh, I called this volume earlier. This is brightness. So this is the DC jack right here. So I'll start with is flipping this over and then get these 3 points with flux on them. Get all the noise stuff going again. And then get the solder soaked up. That's soaking up pretty well. Oops, I think I soaked up a little too much solder there. Now I can fix that really fast. There we go. Not good. Yeah, just a little more there too. Now to figure out how to get this pile of glue removed from here. It's all stuck on here holding this down. Well, I guess we actually didn't need to get rid of that glue yet. For the next part we'll have to. Actually have a nice working, possibly working, power port for one of these. That might come in handy in the future. Now it might be easier to get this glue off. Oh, there we go. Got it. How about the glue on the other side? Oh, that's kind of moving that piece around. I don't know if we want that, so I'll just try to get the rest of this glue up. Wonder if some alcohol will help get that removed. Yep, that seemed to do the trick. And I'll get this part cleaned up a bit. Well, I think for this to line up correctly, I actually do need to get rid of this other glue on here. So I just need to be careful with this part over here. This is going to have to, yeah, this will have to be over there a bit. See if I can do this without breaking that other part. I think it's somewhat working. Almost have it. There we go. Okay, it doesn't look like that little coil has been damaged. Those all still seem to go through there. So then this definitely go in right there now. I need to check something. There's not much space to solder it in place. Those are not grounds. 3 is the ground on here. Then on this piece, like everything that touches the board pretty much is a ground. Let me get that cleaned off just a little bit more and do another test on it. Okay, nope. Definitely not any grounds over there. So I definitely do need to make sure that it is linked to 3. Yeah, this is a part in their documentation. They don't have any pictures or anything to help out. They just have a few words. I don't like this part, but this is a possibility. It's this metal shield. Nope, that is not grounded either. About this side, is this a ground? It's like both of these side parts up here that can be soldered down would not be soldered to any ground at all. So I think what I'll do here, since 3 is the ground, get this in place right here. Flip it over. So with that in place, I'm going to poke this through, see if I can let's see if I can find out exactly where that lines up. Got a little shaking. Okay, it looks like it is slightly on the QR code there. So if I'm reading the instructions correctly, I need to kind of chisel away a bit at that to expose the copper under it. Okay, we have some copper there. Get that wiped off. And then we will double check that that itself is ground. All of that on the bottom seems to line up with ground. That might make this just a little easier then. I'm going to touch that third pad with some solder now. Oh, and what's going to be the best way for this to happen? I don't know if I could heat it up through the board or just make this fast. See if I can get it heated up through the board. Well, I think that worked. That is in place right now. Let's make sure that everything's not all bridged on there. Should have the ground on there. Okay, that is grounded. So that goes to ground. Okay, that's not grounded out, and that's not grounded out. So I think that is good now. So then we need to do a change on here. The DC pad, instead of going to D9 here, that needs to go to DC on here. Get all the cables in view here. So what we need to do is pull the cable off of here. Add a little bit of solder there. I'll go ahead and put some here too. And then also here. Then this DC will go over to USB-C. There we go. And then we have our, I'll actually feed it onto the USB-C first, the battery pad. And then that goes directly onto here. Trying not to have my hand block the view. So I think that is all of clean power now that we have installed. Now for the next part of all the power setup here. One of the parts we originally started doing. We're going to be putting capacitors back in place. So C41 is 470 UF 10 volt. So we have a 470 UF 10 volt for C41. And then C39. That is 100 UF 35 volt. Usually going up voltage is fine. I don't have 35 or 50 volt for 100 UF, so I'm actually dropping to 25 voltage, which shouldn't really matter for this specific system. Then we have C23. There we go, now we have C23. 10 UF 35 volt. Here's a 10 UF 50 volt. Then C37. Bingo! It's 1 UF 50 volt, and so is C47. And I have 1 UF 50 volt. Okay, those are in there. And then our last one, it's actually kind of covered up by the metal there, but that is C11 based on the schematics of it. That is 10 UF 6.3 volt. I have 10 UF 25 volt. So then we'll feed that one down here. So it is hidden from what you can see here. But I look back at the pictures, the positive goes on that side, and then the negative on that side. There we go, without a bright reflection, negative on that side. Now to solder all these legs in place. One leg, ha ha ha. Need to get this over here. I'll be good and not keep doing that. Hopefully having all this stuff done fixes all the power issues with this. There's still more capacitors that will need to be changed, but I at least want to test it and just see if there is a difference on here. I will still need to get a replacement battery terminal for this. But if until that arrives, if I can at least play it using USB-C, I am fine with that. Yeah, I think that's all of them. That looks like it's all of them. Now the fun part. Always make sure you grab these things because they go flying if you don't. They could probably damage vacuum cleaners. They can definitely go into like feet. Like if you have a little puppy that scampers around where you are, then they might accidentally pick one of these up in their feet. And that would not be good at all. Or if you do all this stuff at home, you might pick it up in your own feet, which that would not be fun at all either. Trim that down a little bit more. These ones are crossing streams. There we go. Just 3 left. One more. So I didn't finish going through cleaning everything here, but I think it's pretty good for at least testing this. Just wanted to make sure that it didn't go flying in the other direction. Okay, those all look clipped well now. Gonna get all these hooked back in here and then do a quick test with it. Oh, ribbon cables, how I do not like any of you. Flip it this way and then see if I have an easier time with this. This is actually the second Lynx II that I've gotten to work on. This is one that I got broken for myself, so I could get it all fixed up and have fun with it. Got a few games to play on it. I actually had a game for testing for a while, Zybots. There we go. I've also gotten a couple other games. Now there are case modifications that need to be done to get that to work correctly. Speaking of Zybots, okay, we have that. Let's plug in our USB-C and then power. It's interesting. So the power light is working, things are turning on. Oh, there's the game. But as soon as I let go of that button, it shuts off. I might actually have a theory as to why it's doing that. But the screen seems to work, and other things seem to be working on there, so that's good. And then my theory behind what's going on with that is related to these capacitors here. This one has visible damage or something on it. It's like you can tell something's not right with that capacitor. So I'm still going to replace the rest of the capacitors and then try it again. But that's at least promising it does something now. Now to get the rest of these capacitors changed out, we have 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12. So we have 14 capacitors left to change. So I will go ahead and start by adding a bunch of flux on here. So these are the capacitors that are visibly messed up. These ones don't look that bad, but I'm just going to knock everything out here. Then we have these two over here, and then one right here. Then we have this one hiding in the back, and this one. And then up here we have one here. So we have 13 of them right there, and we're going to get this little copper shield removed because that's what you need to do to get to the 14th one. All the protective gear going, the fan is going. I don't think I'll actually need to suck the solder up for this. Should just be able to heat it up and then lift the shield up. Got that corner. I'll get this corner over here. I just stuck my pinky into some flux. Okay, that one's up. I actually shot some flux over here. Not flux, shot a little bit of solder over here. Okay, but it just wiped right off there. So this side's done. Now to work on this side. Get this part heated up. You don't really want to pull when you're doing this because that will make solder go flying. Okay, that side's up. You know, that actually bends enough that I don't think I need to get the whole thing removed. We lift this up so you can see that capacitor is right here. So they did that just to not cause a short. Get this lifted up here. These huge meat hooks makes it a little difficult sometimes to get stuff like this. That's why tools were invented, to counteract the huge meat hooks. We'll just put some fresh tape on there after we do this. And then we'll add flux to the front and the back leg, or the back and the front leg. I don't know which order it goes in, but that is good. I think for now, just to kind of keep this here, just tape that back with some Captain tape. Now to get the loud exhaust fan going again. And you know what, this will just be one of those nice little montage type things on there. So enjoy a little bit of music.
Wait a second, hold up. Dude, we were done like 10 jokes ago. The board is fixed, the caps look fresh. Why is there more video? You showed the screen, it booted fine. We all cheered, we saw the glow. Now you're still here with this guitar, stretching out the runtime. Bro, hey! Why is Nintendo doing another song? This repair video's already long. Clock is climbing, but we sing along. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair. Why is Nintendo doing another song? Did the Lynx just join a musical? If you're still watching, you belong. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair and my nervous little musical flair. Solder solid, twice. We got the zoom on every trace. This outro's oddly over nice. Chat is typing, dude, we know it turns on, you clearly won. But here we are in verse number 2. How did this get so long? Why is Nintendo doing another song? This repair video's already long. Clock is climbing, but we sing along. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair. Why is Nintendo doing another song? Stretching credits like a feature film. If you're still here, you're lifelong strong. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair. And this bonus, deeply unnecessary for that mid-roll ad. Oh no. Maybe he just really likes singing real bad. Either way, the handheld lives to fight another day. So we'll stay okay and let the man play. Why is Nintendo doing another song? This repair video's already long. But if you laughed, then it's not wrong. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair. We're just vibing in this credit snare. Why is Nintendo doing another song? Last refrain, then we really swear. Roll the end card, fade the throng. Hope you're enjoying the Atari Lynx repair. Cut the tape, oh wait, still there. Still there. Still there?
So now we have everything removed and it's all cleaned up, and we have all of our holes open up here. Now it is a fair criticism if anyone's wondering why I've been using this instead of something like this. It's because this isn't working right and I need to get a new one. So it's a little bit more complicated, but one of the tricks, if you are having to use the solder wick and it's not clearing out of there, just add a little bit of fresh solder on top of it and then it should suck it up. And now it's time to get all the other capacitors in there. Well, let's start with our somewhat hidden one. That is C3 in there. Now that one is 10 UF 6.3 volt. I do not have any that size. I'm going to do 10 UF 16 volt. And on this one, the negative does point the direction towards like all the power area. Okay, that one is in place. And then C14 up here. That is 47 UF 6.3 volts. I have a 47 UF 10 volt that I'll put in there. Feed that on in. The plus is kind of hidden underneath this, but it's over on this side. Then we have C32 and C33. Both of those are 2.2 UF 50 volt. So get both of those put in here. Those ones each face the opposite direction. Then we have C25 down here is 10 UF 35 volt. I'm going to use a 10 UF 50 volt. And then C27 and C28 are both the 10 UF 6.3 volts. So one's going to use 10 UF 16 volt. Each of those in here. Then C58 is 1 UF 50 volt, which we have that one. And then this one is actually C16 here, even though that C61 is actually the one right there, that ceramic one. So C16 goes right here. And that is the same as the other one, the 1 UF 50 volt. I just want to toss that image up there, just kind of show the one I'm using from Console 5 to help figure out ones like this one, or just some of the ones that are kind of weird with how they're numbered, like the C16 with an arrow that points up to there. So next one is C60. C60 is 47 UF 6.3 volts. We're going to use a 47 UF 10 volt. And then we have our little cluster of 4 left over here, which are C19, C21, C53, and C64. And of course, these all have to be complicated. So C19, 47 UF 6.3 volt. We'll be doing that 47 UF 10 volt again. And then C53 is the 47 UF 6.3 volts, which will be 47 UF 10 volts. And then C64 is 220 UF 6.3 volts. We have 220 UF 10 volts here. And then the last one, C21, is 220 UF 6.3 volts. So we're going to do, once again, the 220 UF 10 volts. Now I will share a link in the description of the Console 5 wiki information for the capacitor list and this image. But at this point, what's remaining is adding some solder to the bottom of each of these, getting all these legs cut off here carefully so no puppies step on those, and then I'll put some Captain tape over these so they don't short out. I'm going to add a little extra solder right next to that because some of that got soaked up. So I'll add the Captain tape over that, and then move this and solder it back in place. And then we should be on to the final steps after that. So just sit back and enjoy watching me do all this work.
Car ride home, backpack tossed, snack bag open on my knees. Tiny screen, world switched on. I'm gone till the battery sleeps. Corridor after corridor, all those corners I could run. Tilt and tap, I dodge a blast, saving quarters. This is the one. Mom calls my name from the kitchen, but I'm deep in another plan. Level up, I'm locked in mission. Whole universe in my hands. I'm lost inside, bites on my links again. Sideways, world spinning through the alien maze. I press start and I fade from the living room. Just a kid on a couch in the old school days. I'm lost in excite bites. I don't wanna come back soon. Couch cushion is my command chair. Pizza box becomes my shield. Blocky foes chase down the hallway. Every corner another field. Best friend, take the left. We both lean like that could help. Laughing loud when we get busted. It continues. Can't help ourselves. Dad walks by, shakes his head, says you're gonna fry your brain. But one more round, one more red thread, I'm right back in that arcade. I'm lost inside, bites on my links again. Sideways, world spinning through the alien maze. I press start and I fade from the living room. Just a kid on a couch in the old school days. I'm lost in excite bites. I don't wanna come back soon. Yeah, blink in the real world blurs. All I can see are turns. Heartbeats match every birth. I don't wanna learn. Homework waits on the floor. Phone line tied in a knot. Hit pause, look up at the clock, then smile and dive right back in a yeah. I'm lost inside, bites on my legs again. Sideways, world spinning through the alien maze. I press start and I fade from the living room. Just a kid on a couch in the old school days. I'm lost in inside bites. I don't wanna come back soon. I'm lost in inside bites. I don't wanna come back soon.
Now let's do another test on this and make sure that things are working as they should. Okay, we will get all this stuff hooked back in place. Okay, we have the ribbons in, and then the little weird, I don't know, orangish brown type things. I guess one is the speaker and one is the screen, so those are in there. Let's kind of set that in place now. Grab our Zybots and plug in USB-C and then see what happens. I don't quite know what this is doing. So there's something kind of screwy going on with it. I don't know if it's with the buttons up here or if it's with something that we set up on there. So I'll go ahead and get this taken back apart. And then using our trusty Phillips screwdriver, try and get things to show a little better on there. Anyways, we're going to start by taking out the 4 on that side and the 2 on this side. So those are all the same types of screws. There's like sand or something coming out with those. Something grainy coming out with them. Okay, we got those ones out. And then our next step is to get the screen ones out. So they're the 2 on the bottom and the 2 on the top. To actually step down to a smaller size Phillips. I'll be using a P1 for these ones. And one more left. Then we'll see what's going on the other side of this. We'll get that lifted out. There's our nice little screen. Get a safe thing to put that on. And we get to see all of our buttons and everything. So there's actually something that got in here. There's like some crust in there. So I'm wondering if that's what the issue with the power button is. But we are in luck with this. From Retro 6, I ordered a new button pad and also some new silicones. That's going to be part of the later on stuff that I did to this, but it looks like it might need to be done now. That is actually, I don't know if I can get the camera focus on it. That is actually a bird feather. A piece of a bird feather. I don't even know how that got in there. Well, we will start with this side. There are little tabs on each side. You kind of pull those out a bit. We'll start with the one on the outer part and then lift that up. Then we'll get this outside area. Okay, and then that lifts off. And then the same thing with the top one. We'll start with the outer ones. Start there. That one just kind of lifted right off. And then for the big one, we'll start with the outer one on here too. Both these outer ones. Well, those don't want to move. How about the inner ones? And this one. There we go. Get rid of that silicone. Silicones still look okay, but I got new ones, so I'll just use them. And then we just pop this off of here. LED slides out. Toss that away. And before I do that, let me start the cleaning process. So I'm going to go ahead and just run over this with the Clorox wipe. Careful of the speaker there. Also have to be careful of all these little spots that try catching onto that. I don't want to rip anything on here. Then we have these plastic pieces. I'll just do a quick wipe off. And while we're at it, may as well get all these buttons and the front part cleaned up, because this has collected quite a bit of dust. At some point I will have to find a new lens for this thing, because that one is cracked. But it is functional for now. When I do a display replacement, then I'll probably take care of that. Then I'm going to use a dry Q-tip and just try to get some of the dust off the speaker here. While I'm doing the cleaning, I'll get the back of the shell too. Can't go wrong with having a nice clean system. We will have to modify the shell for the USB-C port, but that can be done after we make sure everything's working correctly. And that is all nice and clean now. That looks like it's dry. This way we'll do this is right up here there's a slot where this LED slides right on in. And then I have to hook these over all the little legs and poke it through all these holes here. Then I'll set that down. And we'll grab our new silicone pads. Now for getting the silicones in place, take the silicone and there are these little dots on here. You have to line all those up. Those are lined up, and then we can pop all these in place. And then the button ones are the same way. They have little dots on there that you need to get these lined up with. And then with that lined up, then we pop it in place. And then our last one, the same thing. Little dots, and then pop that in place. That hooked in on the rail. Screen part, we're going to put all of our little buttons back in. Now each button does have a special way it goes in. There are little plastic tabs that align each button on there. Then with that all in place, we will get this put back down in here. Then we'll put back on our size 2 Phillips head and get these 6 screws put back in. And our last one. I'll gently wipe the screen off with a microfiber cloth. Remove whatever this hair is, it's right here. And then this goes back in. The ribbon for this goes on the same side as the controller ribbon. And then with that in place, we'll go back to our size 1 Phillips and put those 4 screws back in place. There, and our nice clean system's there. Let's hook this board back up. Get our ribbon cables in there first. And then our little ugly colored cables. If this does not work, I do kind of have an idea of what might be causing the issue. We have that in place. Get our Zybots going. And plug in our USB-C. Let's see if this behaves better. It doesn't instantly start flickering now. That's... Oh, let me turn these lights off here and adjust this. There we go. We have our Zybots. And we have volume. Actually, at an angle where I can't really see this. Okay, so our system does work. So you can kind of see some artifacts on the bottom of the screen there. When the brightness is turned up, can't really notice them as much, but when it's turned down, you see them. So this will need a screen replacement at some time, but I'm just happy this works. So the next part, let me turn that off. Trying it one more time, making sure, okay, yep, still works. Okay, it's turned off now. Yeah, the thing I wasn't quite sure about, I was thinking there's a chance that the USB-C port could be shorting on there, but that does not seem the case. So the next part will be modifying the shell. Just kind of need to trim a little bit off of there, just enough that the USB-C port can poke on through. So I'll go ahead and take this all apart. Oh, and I'll try not to break any ribbons or anything. There we go. And it'll be pretty instant for you all, but it'll be the next day for me that I work on that. I record at such weird times, and it is 12:14 in the morning right now. So I don't want to do any power tools to do any of that stuff this late. And now we are into our final stretch. Don't need to solder anything anymore. I was originally going to do this part outside, but Mother Nature had some other plans for me, so I will just make a mess in here and then clean it all up. Here is what we're looking at doing. Everything is all nicely lined up here except for USB-C. So we need to trim this away a little bit on here. Okay, kind of mark that out a bit. See if we can use this to contain everything. This is a collapsible crate that got at Sam's Club a while ago, just so we don't have to remove everything else. I'm just going to put some Captain tape around this anti-static bag, just to prevent all of the shrapnel from flying down inside of here. Doesn't have to be perfect, because I will use a little blower thing just to blow any of the stuff out of there. Okay, that should get that enough. I'll be using a plastic trimmer on here, on the Dremel, to try to not make too much of damage on there. I'm good at accidentally scratching things at random spots also with the Dremel, so I will have to be careful. Then some good old safety glasses, and it's time to go. Spin this around a bit. Nice sound of a Dremel. Just try and get the bare minimum done here to make that work. Sounds like an old Atari game. Try to flatten this part out here. Get that just a little bit. Okay. I think that might be all that's needed. Some of this plastic off of here. I think that was pretty much all contained into the little collapsible bucket. We'll remove our little protector on there, and then we'll see how that lines up. That actually seems to line up pretty well. I'm not perfect at using the Dremel, but got the job done there. Good thing this is going to be a system that I hold on to. I'm just going to sand this down a little bit, just so it doesn't look as rough around there. And we have a little air blower here. Try to get any crumbs out of here that fell in. Off that board if any got on there. I think this is the exciting part. Gets to put everything back together. We'll get the ribbons hooked in. Okay, both ribbons are good, and then do the other connectors. Oh, the sound one is not cooperating again. Doesn't help having these huge meat hooks trying to put little connectors together. There we go, got it aligned. And in. Then just move this over those bars and plop it down in place. So that looks aligned well. The back shell in place. So on the back shell, we will need to do just a little bit of an adjustment on there. I'll just mark on here. I was hoping the back one we wouldn't have to, but it's fine. Good thing we have our trusty little crate here. And the Dremel. Ooh, that is stinky. I think that's looking pretty good. Grab our little sander. Let's get some of these parts off. And now back to this part. That's all lined up. Double check this. Yep, that looks pretty good. We can get a cord plugged in there. Well, before putting this together, I just realized the battery tray was never cleaned. Oh, the bottom of the barrel for Clorox wipes. So they are soaked. Okay, I'll just get this thing all wiped out here. We can't actually use this at the moment because I still need to get a battery terminal replacement. Whatever this stuff is that it's getting cleaned out of here, it kind of smells. I'm glad it got cleaned out. And then with that looking nice and clean now, it slides in where the screw hole lines up with that screw hole. Just like that, and then the board rests straight against it. We'll go ahead and put our screw in the battery area. It's just a little black screw from earlier. There we go. And now we can get this put the rest of the way together. The back just goes on like that. Oops, I was wrong. Make sure that tab goes above the board instead of below it. So imagine I never said that earlier. We have all of our little tabs are sticking out correctly. And now this goes on here just perfectly. Put our 4 screws in place. And our last one. Then we have our little sticky grips for the back. Put those on both sides. And the Clorox wipe from earlier, I did not wipe these grips off. I am slacking at this cleaning part. There we go, we have our nice little Atari Lynx. I'm also going to try to find a battery cover here. So battery cover, battery terminal, and at some point I will replace the screen. But let me turn these lights off here and get our USB-C plugged in here. Then Zybots. I do have other games for it, but Zybots is one that I've really been wanting to try. Then hit on. My angle, it's not that great, trying to see if I can see the screen without, I can still have it in view of the camera. I also have to play while looking at the camera. This is one of the things I liked about the Contra games. They had a mode that was kind of like this. So this is one of the circumstances where it shows that sometimes even if you expect something to be just quick and easy to do, which I thought it would just be a recap and the power fix, that it ended up being a lot more than that. But we have the USB-C mod in here, and then we also replaced the silicones and then the pads for all the buttons. So right now this is in pretty good shape. It will need a new screen at some point, but it's at the point where I can actually play these games now. And then I will get the battery terminal and a cover for the batteries. Well, if you have any questions about anything on here, then make sure to leave those questions in the comments. If you'd have done things differently or you want to see any other types of mods done on this, then also let me know in the comments. I will leave in the description some of the documentation that I used on how to troubleshoot this. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, then make sure to subscribe if you have not. Leave a thumbs up to help the algorithm. Want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day.
Thanks for watching our show today. We hope you smiled along the way. From pixel dreams to jokes we play. Like and subscribe, it's the thing to do. Join the crew, red, white, and blue. Gumtendo's here for you.